Why you live above your means, even when you can't afford it. Back in 1945, a soldier came home from the war at 23 years old with no house, no job, and the whole country was terrified he'd end up on the streets begging. In 2024, a 23-year-old has a college degree, a steady job, and he's drowning in debt. Why? Because you didn't choose this lifestyle. You were programmed for it. Today, you're finally going to understand why you feel trapped in a cycle of spending. Morgan Housel, in the postscript of The Psychology of Money, drops a truth the banks don't want you to know. The modern consumer wasn't born by accident. He was built on purpose. After World War II, the U.S. had a massive problem: 16 million soldiers coming home, and an economy on the verge of collapsing into the worst depression since the 1930s. The fix? Turn citizens into consumers. Interest rates frozen. Mortgages with zero down. Credit cards tax-deductible. Spending stopped being a sin and became patriotic duty. You live above your means because you were taught success has to be visible. You live above your means because your parents grew up in an era of lifestyle equality, but you're living in an era of extreme inequality. You live above your means because Instagram shows the top of the pyramid, and your brain thinks that's the baseline. You live above your means because debt got normalized as a tool for freedom, when really it's the heaviest chain there is. And you live above your means because nobody told you the game changed. But the old rules are still hardwired into your subconscious. Let me tell you 3 stories that prove you've been programmed since childhood to live in debt. Story 1. The 1945 soldier versus the 2024. Young guy, 1945. A soldier named John comes home from World War II. He's 23, zero in the bank. No house, no guaranteed job. The U.S. government was panicking. What if 16 million soldiers come back and can't find work? It'll be Great Depression 2.0. So they passed the GI Bill, free college for vets. Mortgages with 0% down, 1% annual interest, no credit history required. John bought a house in 1946, payment $50 a month. His salary, $250 a month. Payment, 20% of income. He worked 40 hours a week. Home by 5 p.m., dinner with the family. Weekends were sacred. At 65, John retired. House paid off. Lifetime pension, zero debt. 2024. A young guy named Mike is 23. College degree, steady job. Salary, $4,000 a month. Mike wants to buy a house. Average price, $400,000. Down payment, $80,000, 20%. Monthly payment, $2,400. Payment, $60% of income. Mike can't buy. So he rents for $800 a month. But he also has student loan, $400-month car loan, $500-month credit card, $300-month total, $3,000 month. Leftover, $1,000 for food, gas, fun, emergencies. Mike works 50 hours a week, answers emails at night, works weekends. At 65, Mike will still be paying off debt. What changed? John bought a house with 20% of his paycheck. Mike can't buy with 60%. John worked 40 hours. Mike works 50 plus. John retired debt-free. Mike probably never will. Why? Because after 1945, the government deliberately built a consumption economy. Mortgages became easy on purpose. Interest rates stayed low on purpose. Credit cards were invented on purpose. Spending became patriotism on purpose. They needed people to spend, because if people saved, the economy stalled. And it worked. It works so well that today, you don't even realize you're trapped. Story 2. The invention of the credit card and how it enslaved you, 1950. A businessman named Frank McNamara is having dinner in a New York restaurant. Time to pay. He realizes he forgot his wallet. Humiliating. He gets an idea. What if I could pay later? In 1950, he launches Diners Club, the world's first credit card. At first, it's only for rich executives. You pay an annual fee. Use the card. Pay the full balance at the end of the month. No interest. Just convenience. 1958. Bank of America launches Bank AmeriCard, later Visa. And they change everything. Now anyone can get one. You don't have to pay in full. You can carry a balance. With interest. And the government encouraged it. Why? Because credit card interest was tax-deductible. Translation. Uncle Sam gave you a tax break if you went into debt. 1970, 1980. Banks start mailing cards to your house. Unrequested, unsolicited. You open the mailbox. There's a card with your name and a $5,000 limit. Ready to use? And people use them. 2024. The 4 credit cards per adult. Average balance, $6,500. Average interest rate, 20% a year. You think that's coincidence? It's not. It was engineered. Because a debtor can't quit the job, can't say no to overtime, can't negotiate pay, can't stop spending. You become a slave, and you call it financial freedom. Story 3. Why you compare yourself to people who shouldn't even be in your life. 1960. A factory worker named Robert makes $6,000 a year. He compares himself to his neighbor, also a factory worker, his cousin, salesman, his brother-in-law, mechanic. Everyone earns about the same. Robert drives a Chevrolet. Neighbor does too. Cousin does too. Everyone has the same lifestyle. Robert doesn't feel poor because he's just like everyone he knows. 2024. A young guy named Alex makes $50,000 a year. He compares himself to Instagram influencer, $500K a year. Crypto YouTuber, $2 million a year. Startup CEO, $10 million a year. Trust fund kid pretending to be an entrepreneur. Alex sees them, flying to Dubai, driving Lambos, eating at 500 a head restaurants, living in mansions. And Alex thinks, I should have that too. Here's the problem. Alex is comparing himself to the top 0.01%. But Instagram makes it look normal because you see 10 Lambo posts a day, 20 luxury vacation posts, 50 I made 100K this month posts. Your brain normalizes it. You start thinking, everyone has this. Why don't I? So you finance a car you can't afford, rent an apartment that's too expensive, buy designer clothes on credit, travel and post on Instagram while racking up debt. Why? Because your brain thinks that's the standard. But reality, median U.S. salary, $56,000 a year. You make $50,000, you're average, but you compare yourself to people making $500K, 10 and you feel broke. Even though you're not. Robert in 1960 was happy. He compared himself to equals. Alex in 2024 is miserable. He compares himself to the 0.01% he'll never reach, and he goes into debt trying. So what do these 3 stories teach us? 1. You didn't choose to live in debt. You were programmed. John in 1945 bought a house with 20% of his pay. Mike in 2024 can't with 60%. 2. The credit card wasn't invented to help you. It was invented to own you. Started as convenience, became slavery. 3. You compare yourself to people who shouldn't even be on your radar. Robert compared to the neighbor. Alex compares to Instagram billionaires. And here's the brutal truth. The system was designed to keep you in debt. Because a debtor can't quit the job, can't negotiate salary, can't stop consuming. You become a cog, and you call it life. But there's a way out. Stop comparing. Not to Instagram. Not to the neighbor. Not to the cousin. Compare to last year you. Are you better off? Less in debt? Freer? That's the only metric that matters. And what sets you free? Realizing the game is rigged. That you were programmed as a kid to spend more than you earn. Compare to the ultra-rich. Think debt is normal. But now you know. And knowledge? That's power. So which team are you on? The programmed or the awakened? The programmed. Compare their paycheck to the neighbor rolling a BMW. Believe they deserve the same lifestyle as an influencer hiding 99% of the truth. Treat credit cards like extra income and call it financial planning. Live in an endless loop of spend, owe, stress. The awakened. Know the system was built to keep you in debt. Because a debtor is an obedient consumer. As economist Hyman Minsky said, stability leads to instability. Translation, the safer you feel, the more vulnerable you are. Because the system doesn't want you saving. It wants you spending, owing, repeating. If you made it this far, you've already peeled back the first layer. Now do this with me. Comment awaken below. It sends a signal to the algorithm that you belong with the people ready for the next secrets. And the next secret isn't from a book. It's from your own mind. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to hack your financial psychology using neuroscience, behavioral conditioning, and subliminal reprogramming to rewire your brain to save, invest, and thrive. Even when everything around you screams, spend now, because the real game isn't against the market. It's against the system that shaped you. You're not the same person who clicked this video. Now you're awakened, so hit that like button. Not for me, but to tell your brain you chose the right path. Subscribe because the next videos will dismantle every myth keeping you stuck. And turn on the bell, because the next secret will teach you how to rewrite your financial code. Until then, stop living by the system's script. Start writing your own.